Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Time for another collection video. This time I'm going to go through my GameCube games. I divided it up into two parts. This first part that you're going to see, I paid a total of $268 for. Price charting value as of this date, total value is $1,222. So let's go through it and see if they're worth it. Okay, so we're going to go alphabetical with this one. First one being Animal Crossing. It's an open-ended game in which the human player character moves into a village populated with anthropomorphic animals. The player can interact with the animals as well as other players through the GameCube's memory card. The game is synced with the GameCube's internal clock and calendar, allowing the game to be played in real time. Okay, next up on the list is Avatar: The Last Airbender. In this game, you play Aang, who is the last avatar. He must master all four elements to bring peace to the world and restore the balance between the four nations, which consist of the different elements. Next up is Baten Kaitos, Eternal Wings and the Lost Ocean. It's a role-playing video game. In it, the player assumes the role of a guardian spirit, basically an unseen player avatar who guides the protagonist, Kailas, and his party of companions in an adventure across an aerial floating island-based kingdom in the clouds. The game's focused around the concept of Magnus, magical cards that capture the essence of items found in the in-game world.
World, there are things that people mustn't touch. Who cares?
Let us trust the young,
one more,
who hold the spirit within them.
The struggle alone will fill a great emptiness within you and ease your pain.
have you known?
Come on, Kibari! Move it!
Go away!
Our only hope is the long-lost ocean.
Awaken! Ancient god of destruction!
Be what you always dreamed to be!
Next game on top is Burnout. The main gameplay mode is Championship Mode, which is a selection of events with 3 or 4 races in each. Here the player competes against 3 other cars on various courses. Each event gets harder and requires the player to use faster cars to reach first place. After completing each event, a face-off challenge is unlocked, which in turn unlocks a new car if won. Other modes include single race, time, attack, and 2-player. Single race is a mode where the player races against 3 opponents. Okay, next is one of my favorite series. This is Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. It's an action role-playing game. Players take on the role of adventurers who travel in a caravan gathering mystical fuels for crystals, which protect the world's settlements from the destructive miasma. The single-player campaign has a player escort the vessel carrying the crystal's energy, defending it from enemies, and solving puzzles to progress. Next is GoldenEye Rogue Agent. GoldenEye was a favorite game of mine on the N64. In this particular one, the player takes the role of an ex-MI6 agent who is recruited by Auric Goldfinger, a member of a powerful unnamed criminal organization, to assassinate his rival Dr. No. Several other characters from the Bond film series make appearances throughout the game in non-canonical settings, including Oddjob, Xena Onatop, as well as Francisco Scaramanga. Speaking of shooting games, the next one is a revised Western-themed action-adventure video game called Gun. It's an open-world environment, including side missions that add to the story. Players control the protagonist, Colton White, from a third-person perspective. While traveling from town to town, bandit attacks are frequent, and players must either escape or defend themselves. Players can hunt and kill various animals like buffalo and wild horses, and even stray dogs and farm animals. The player who can cause mayhem within communities, but can attract attention from lawmakers and other gunslingers by doing so. They act as gunslingers, protecting righteousness or seek reputation as they face resistant fighters. A town patience meter goes down every time a civilian is killed. Once the patience meter reaches 0, a showdown ensues between the player and the locals. From shooting to life sim, Harvest Moon: A Wonderful Life. It's the first title in the Harvest Moon series to be released for the Nintendo Gamecube. A Wonderful Life features new characters and bachelorettes, as well as an entirely new town. It's the only Harvest Moon game in the series to date where people visibly age around you, your child grows into an adult, and the main player can die. Next up is the action video game Hulk. Bruce Banner is contacted by his old mentor, who explains that he has developed a cure for the Hulk called the Gamma Orb. Unfortunately, military troops led by the corrupt General John Riker have raided the lab. It's up to Bruce Banner to get the Gamma Orb back and hope for a cure. Next up is Hunter the Reckoning. It's a hack and slash game where players fight hordes of enemies in a single player or multiplayer mode for up to 4 players. The players fight use ranged and melee weapons, but also can use magic spells called edges with effects such as dealing damage to a group of enemies or healing oneself. Certain weapons can be earned as pickups through exploration, including a machine gun, a chainsaw, and a shotgun.
Their comprehension. Vampires and werewolves see humans as pawns in an endless battle for control. All of this is hidden from humanity. Vampire feedings are explained as gang violence, werewolf attacks explained as animal mauling. But now a mysterious force has imbued a chosen few humans with not just the knowledge of the evil, but with the power to do something about it. These imbued have become hunters.
For a bit more of a lighthearted game, we now have Kirby Air Ride. It's played primarily through use of a vehicle, many of which are taken from previous Kirby games such as the Warpster. Players take control of Kirby or any of his multicolored counterparts to compete in races or other mini-games. From Kirby to Lara Croft, we have Tomb Raider Legend. It's a single-player action-adventure game in which the player controls Lara Croft from a third-person perspective through 8 levels set across 7 locations around the world. Players can jump, climb, and shimmy along ledges and vertical poles or ladders, crawl through small spaces, swing on ropes and horizontal poles, use a grappling line to swing across gaps. Different buttons combinations can create more moves, such as a roll and swan dive. Legends of Wrestling 2. Within career mode, a wrestler will be working for a specific promoter in each area. Each territory has between 8 to 12 storylines chosen at random with a push of a button. Certain storylines might not be available on the wrestler used by the player. For example, if the player decides to play with Jerry Lawler, the only storyline he can play in is the Southeast region, based on the famous feud Lawler had with the comedian Andy Kaufman. From Leg Drops to Legend of Zelda Collector's Edition. This is a compilation of the Legend of Zelda games from previous consoles for the Nintendo Gamecube, along with a 20-minute demo of the newest installment of the series, The Legend of Zelda: The Wind Waker. All full games featured on the disc, however, are not ports in the traditional sense, but rather ROM images of the games running on an official emulator specifically designed by Nintendo. The games on the disc, along with the demo of The Wind Waker, are The Legend of Zelda, Zelda 2: The Adventure of Link, The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, and The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. The former two were originally released on the Nintendo Entertainment System, while the latter two were originally released on the N64. Also included on the disc is a video retrospective which chronicles every main installment of the series up to that point. Another game in the Zelda series, Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time and the Master Quest. This is a reworked version of the original Ocarina of Time for the N64. Master Quest contains largely the same content as the original Ocarina of Time, but with redesigned, more difficult dungeons akin to a second quest. Master Quest was available on a special bonus disc that also contained the original Ocarina of Time. This disc was given out in limited quantities with pre-orders of The Wind Waker. Lord of the Rings: The Two Towers. It's a hack-and-slash action game played from a third-person perspective. The game features levels taken either directly from scenes in the Fellowship of the Ring and the Two Towers films, or based closely on elements from the films. For most of the game, the player is free to play as Aragorn, Gimli, or Legolas. In the game's main opening level, however, set at Weathertop, only Aragorn is playable. The Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King is also a hack-and-slash action game and is very similar to its predecessor in basic gameplay. Lost Kingdoms is a fantasy video game. It's best known for its unique system of combat. Battles are played in real time where the player has to keep their character moving to avoid enemy attacks and plot tactical points to attack. Katia uses her cards for battle purposes only as she cannot fight. In Luigi's Mansion, the main story is played out over 4 stages, with players able to also access a training room and a gallery. In each stage, players control Luigi's, explores the mansion's rooms, and hunts down the ghosts that lie within them, acquiring keys to get through locked doors and eventually dealing with a boss ghost hidden at the end of the stage, with more rooms becoming accessible as each stage is completed. To assist him in his task, Luigi uses a flashlight and 2 inventions, a Poltergust 3000, especially modified, high-powered vacuum cleaner. In Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, Mario, Peach, Yoshi, Donkey Kong, and others have tee times reserved in the Mushroom Kingdom. Challenge them to tournaments or take them on in character matches to collect rings or nab coins. Play on resort-style courses or look out for chain chomps, warp pipes, and thwomps on the Mushroom Kingdom courses. Not only does Mario like golf, he also likes tennis. In Mario Power Tennis, the Mushroom Kingdom has hosted tennis tournaments before, but never one as explosive as this one. Mario and Co. return to the courts with even more powerful shots and a new character-specific power moves guaranteed to make for absolute tennis lunacy. Mario Kart Double Dash Special Edition 2-disc set is a kart racing video game in which the player races in a kart against other teams in different courses. Mario Party 4, 5, and 7 are games in which up to 4 players can roll dice to move around on a board, earning coins from landing on spaces, events, or winning mini-games played at the end of every turn by stars.